Besides sending the police, you might want to send an ambulance or a hearse.
Hello, Billy Ho here, coming at you Tuesday DraftKings show for the 2023 Valspar Championship. I'm joined by the DFS chef David, and we're going to talk a little pricing, some ownership for DraftKings, players, tiers, pricing, fades, sleepers, all that kind of good stuff. And we're really just here to give you guys some narrow down the field for you. We're not telling you who to play, or we're not giving you picks, but they're just guys that we like, and to maybe help you narrow down from a large field tournament. So, five things real quick before we get going. Subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, check out the article, preview articles, and will be in the description, and I'll post it around. And join our Discord, and also the DraftKings contest. I dropped it back down to 50 this week. I really thought we'd get more. We didn't even fill it last week. Kind of odd for players, but that's all right. No big deal. We'll get her done. No, nonetheless. So just say what's up to David before we get going. Hi, Dave.
How you doing, man? Coming off of so week last week, I'll definitely say that Keegan and Corey Connors kind of ruined a lot of my DFS lineups last week. But thank goodness I put a bet in on Scotty Scheffler to win it, and
Yeah,
I was rooting
Art.
for Hovland. I was rooting for Hovland. I had a little bit more on the betting market and on Hovland, but I did have a bet in on Scotty, so that definitely helped the cause.
Yeah, and it took all my willpower and strength to stay away from Keegan and Connors, because they were just a little bit too owned, and they're just, I was like, we talked about Connors before, and I knew with the conditions there'd be more scoring, so I thought, just Hoagie's sitting down there at 7,400 as well. He's half the ownership at least or more, so I stuck with him. And six over on Thursday had me, kind of down in the dumps, but he somehow got through on the number and came out and absolutely exploded on the weekend. And the only thing that I missed was Scotty Scheffler. If I just I didn't like the way, I didn't like the three of them being grouped together, and I thought that's going to be a tough pill. I said they're going to cancel each other out somehow, which I was two out of three correct, because Rom just couldn't handle Scotty too hotty, so he had to bow out early. And Rory just, he was just spraying it all over the golf course, and he was a hot mess too. So, and then I thought Scotty, if I would have just maybe tossed Scotty in a couple of these lineups that I had some good cashes. I took second in a smaller, like 250 person GPP, and it was all. I mean, I was down damn near 100 points going into Sunday, so it was all just guys firing, and I got all the way up there. And of course, the guy in front of me had Scotty, and I wasn't gonna. He was just too. There was just too many points to be had. If you don't have Scotty as in your lineup, you probably don't even deserve to win a GPP, really. But I felt good to get the second, and kind of doubled up my pool, my bankroll, and all that good stuff. So I got a little bit of cushion for the next few weeks anyway. So well, enough of that. We're going to get on to the Valspar Championship, and so let's get it going. All right. First thing, I just wanted to check in with you guys on the article that I've been putting together, and it's just kind of a similar work in progress. But I've been posting up the videos here, so you could click right on them and go to them. And I'll have this one up today when we finish, and it's just kind of a preview of course layout and a little bit of weather. And speaking of weather, I haven't checked it recently, but keep an eye on it, because I think Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are going to be significant weather. So definitely rain and storms. So we might have some stoppage and whatnot. It is Florida. We're on the other side in Tampa this time around, but it's still Gulf side. You're still going to get storms and stuff. So gives you a little skill set, model stats, and the one thing I did want to point out on the players is I didn't really tier them. I mean, I got top, mid, and low, but pricing was so weird that I could put a guy 7,500 over a dude to 9K if I feel like it. That I think he's better. So that's why I didn't want to like pigeonhole myself into a price range. But I'm still working on this. So what we're going to do is get David to get us going on his model. Is up to date, so he was able to get everything cracking, and so we got some old school moving back up the ladder. I see in Mr. Rose, and so start us off on your 9K and up, Dave, and give us a little bit of background on your stats.
Yeah, I mean, we finally got it updated. It is through last week's Players Tournament Championship event, and everything is now current. So it's good to go. Good to have it finally updated after a few weeks of not having it updated. But yeah, obviously each and every week focusing on strokes gained approach, but even more so this week because we both kind of look at Rick's regression model, and approach is a huge stat this week, huge correlation with approach. And then also when we go correlation, scrambling was something that popped very, very high in the correlation model for Rick. So I do have scrambling uh, higher this week. We have
Same, same.
four par fives. So obviously, and we all know that par five scoring is where these guys are going to score. Like you just mentioned, sand safe percentage is going to come in there.
Yeah,
Um, you know, around the green, some putting. Now this is traditionally Bermuda grass, but it is overseeded with the POA this
right.
week. So when you go on like Greenskeepers, of America, it shows POA Trivalous
It
with like
does. Yeah,
with like
USA.
rye, but
Uh-huh.
with like rye as well. But traditionally, it's a Bermuda, you know, thing, but it's probably going to have a little bit more POA feel to it. So looking at strokes gained putting, distance and accuracy. When you look at the correlation model, on Rick, it doesn't really come into play this week, but I did put good drive percentage in
Yeah.
my stats this week. I do think accuracy is more important than distance this week. Guys, once again, Florida guys will probably be clubbing down, and it's going to be a second shot course, just like almost all these Florida courses. So it's going to be ball striking. Um,
Most stuff.
if the wind comes into play, which it looks like it is, like you just mentioned, I looked at the weather right before we started, and Friday looks pretty bad. Friday morning is still showing double digits, but it increases throughout the day on Friday. Um, Thursday seems pretty, consistent for most of the guys, no matter what time you start on Thursday. Saturday, at least as of right now, Saturday looks like we could have a possible stoppage.
Yeah.
And then Sunday shows chances of rain as well. But Saturday's the big one where it shows like 70 to 80% chance of rain with possible thunderstorms. So Saturday, you could see a stoppage. And now, as we get into these 9K plus guys, um, the 10K guys, you can make a case to fade any one of these guys this week. Um, Fitzpatrick with the neck still looks like he's having some issues. I want to say he's lost on approach in like 7 of his last 8. And just like I mentioned, approach is huge this week. So I, I mean, I know Fitzpatrick lives in Florida now, but I don't know if I can trust Fitzpatrick. Burns showed some signs of life last week, and then over the weekend fell apart once again. But he is the back-to-back defending champion at this course, so maybe this is a get right spot for Sam Burns. Spieth is always, kind of, you know, not quite Ricky Bobby, but at the same time, it is kind of Ricky Bobby because you never know where his tee shots are going. Just like Justin Thomas sometimes is a bit wild off the tee as well. But if you were to rank these guys, obviously Justin Thomas, as bad as Justin Thomas is playing for Justin Thomas's standards, it's still pretty good based off of all the other guys on the PGA Tour. So, I mean, if I had to say who I would play at this 10K plus range, it would be Justin Thomas. Justin Thomas is the best player in this field. Um, so, I mean, if I'm playing anybody above 10K, it's going to be Justin Thomas. Um, Fleetwood, I didn't play last week, and I mean, I always say whenever he's under 8K, he was right below 8K at 79, and he definitely stormed and had a great weekend. But at 9,800, if he beats me, he beats me. I'm not playing Tommy Fleetwood at $9,800. The guy still hasn't won on U.S. soil. If he is to win, this is the week of all weeks. If he's going to win on U.S. soil, that this would probably be the event that he wins on U.S. soil. But I'm not playing him $9,800. Maybe I'll take a chance in the betting market on him. Maybe. But yeah, for me, it's probably starting with Justin Rose, who's ranking out first in my model this week. Strong finish last week of the Players. He had a couple letdowns at API and Genesis. He missed Genesis on the number, but he won at Pebble. And I do think that this kind of has or could possibly have a little bit of a Pebble feel to it. The greens are not huge, Pebble obviously being the smallest greens out there. But he also looked good at the Farmers. He was 18th, and the Farmers we know is a huge track, and he's lost some of his distance over the years. But I do think Justin Rose is where I'm probably starting a lot of my lineups. Keegan, like I said, he didn't go full Keegan last week, but he still went Keegan and missed the cut after after a pretty solid Thursday. A lot of guys are talking about going back to him this week. I'm on the fence with him right now. I think I prefer Denny McCarthy over Keegan this week because at least I know with Denny McCarthy, the guy can putt. And his approach play has gotten better. He's improved on his game. So I mean, I trust McCarthy more than I trust Keegan, but I know a lot of the industry likes Adam Hadwin, and so do I. I mean, you can see he's ranking out second in my model. He's a past winner here.
Yeah.
He's had some solid finishes here. All of his finishes are top 15 or better, including 2 top 10s. He did have a couple missed cuts within those 5 years, but he had a good week last week, finished T13 with McCarthy. Sometimes when you talk wind, sometimes, they say he's not the best wind player in the world, but I mean, the winds kicked up pretty good last week at the Players, and he still had a solid finish. So I do trust Adam Hadwin. So Rose and Hadwin are probably where I'm looking at. Davis Riley at 9K, despite having a amazing finish here, last year with the second place for the first time ever playing this. I don't know how I feel about going to Davis Riley. He once again might be someone that I might take a chance with the betting market on him, but maybe fade in the DFS market. So, that's kind of where I'm at with these 9K plus guys is probably Rose and Hadwin, sprinkle in some McCarthy. And like I said, if I play the 10K, it's JT.
Yeah, I hear you there. The thing of it is with JT, I have a hard time with him. And the 60th was, and yeah, he played all right. He struck the ball. The one thing he is doing, he's driving the ball very well. That's one of the probably the most encouraging thing about his game. And he just has a few timely irons. Like I saw him a couple of times out in the middle of the fairway, 100 yards out, and he missed the green. And it's like, how did you not stick that to 5 feet? And even if he does stick it to 5 feet, he misses the putt. He made a fantastic shot Sunday on 17, up to about inside 5 feet and missed the putt. And then he comes back. I think that might have been Saturday. He missed a short putt for a birdie on 17, and he comes back and he holes out from the fairway on 18. So he ended up. I guarantee you he lost more strokes putting than you see and when you look him up, because he had a couple of hole outs that saved him there. He missed more inside 8-foot putts. So that scares me about him. And so I don't know if I'm going to go there at that ownership. I probably will do like a FOMO lineup or something. I hate doing that, but I don't want to miss out on him winning. So, but Burns, I was with you with as well. He looks like his game's coming together, and then this is always the get right spot for him. So, but all three of these guys, like you said, they're 20+%. So if you want to pull the fade train on them, that's fine. Matt Fitz, actually, that round one was awful. Round two, he actually played pretty well. he got the approach game going again, and I wonder if the miscut maybe give him a couple of extra days to get that neck worked on and everything. And I don't know so much if it's actually like the neck bothering him anymore, is that maybe when people have issues, it affects their swing. When they're compensating for an injury like a neck or a back, it takes them a while to trust their swing again. And I think he's just kind of working through that. So this might be a breakout week for him. I'll keep an eye on ownership. Tommy at that price is right. It's going to depend on ownership for me in a lot of these ranges. Denny, I'm down with. He drove the ball very well last week as well, and was pretty impressive at a course I didn't know that he would be quite as good at, but he got it done. So the putter is one thing, but him just staying even and plus in the field, ball striking always gives him an advantage. Hadwin is that ownership bothers me with him, and there's nothing wrong with him. Obviously, he's been playing good golf and he's doing all the things that you need to do. But as far as lineup builds, I don't know. I actually kind of may. I don't know about put two guys up top is what I was thinking, and that way you're going to instantly be different because I doubt anybody does that. But it does kind of hamstring you, so I haven't made a decision on that yet. But like I said, when I talked about the tiers, like guys like Riley and Harmon, Harmon's all right, but he's just not long enough for me. He does have a fifth place finish here last year. So he's a guy you can play. He hits a lot of fairways and greens. But you get down here and guys like I would put Wyndham Clark over both of those guys. Well, maybe not Hadwin, but definitely over Harmon and Riley and Sue. Really, I mean, I know he's been playing well, but so is Wyndham Clark, and Wyndham Clark can putt, and he's long off the tee. So I think he'll put you in better positions to score, shorter irons, maybe play a little better in the wind. And moving down here a little bit more, see guys like Brandon Wu. That's where the pricing gets muddied for me. Is they had to price all these guys up. Excuse me. But you get into this mid 8K range, and I may just skip this altogether. But there is a guy actually, Kenny Kim pointed him out to me. Taylor Moore is a guy that I like to play on hard courses, and this course is a hard course without a lot of scoring, and he just gets it done. He makes cuts, and so I think strokes gained total. I think he's just fine in all categories. He's not stellar in any of them, but as long as if he pops in any one of these categories, I think he'll pay off, and I like that ownership. That's what I'm looking for is sub 10% in this area. Moving down, and guys like Poston and Case Lee, I'm not, the ownership's there, but I'm not digging them. Ben Griffin's ownership's way too high for him. I love him. He's due for a miscut in my opinion, and he's never played here. So I don't know that I would risk it for 17%. But getting into here, I guess Maverick McNeely interests me. I might look into him some. He did make the cut last week coming off his injury. So I think it was a shoulder issue of some sort, but he made the cut at Players, and that's not an easy course to come back off of a few weeks off of an injury in a big field event. Now he's in a weaker field event in a place where putting matters. So I think McNeely's going to go on my radar. And so if you want to go ahead and hook us up in your 8K range and lead us into the sevens, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, all those guys that you just mentioned, make a strong case for a good amount of them. Obviously Justin Suh and Brandon Wu have taken a significant price increase, but they're playing some really good golf lately. It seems like they have finally gotten comfortable out on the PGA Tour, and Justin Suh is beginning to live up to the hype that he had with those guys that he came in with, Morikawa and Hovland, et cetera. But 8,900 is a significant increase. Wyndham Clark, obviously playing some great golf. The only discouraging fact that you look at is his course history here has gotten significantly worse.
Yeah.
But he's playing much better golf than he has in the past. So I mean, I do like Wyndham Clark this week for all the reasons you mentioned. Um, Ben Griffin, I didn't look at the ownership, but the ownership is high. The one thing I do like is that over the last 36 rounds of golf that we look at, on Rick's, cheat sheet here, is that he's positive in every strokes gain metric over
Yeah.
the last 36 rounds that we're looking at. But yes, the 17% first look ownership is high, and I'm with you on Taylor Moore as well. I'm already starting to mess around with some lineups, and I'm seeing myself getting Taylor Moore in there quite a bit. And then as we dip down into that sub 8K range, ball striking, at least over the last 36 rounds, Benny On's ball striking seems to be fading a little bit. So that is a bit of a concern, because what we do know about Benny On is that Benny On traditionally is someone that is a very good ball striker. So over the last 36 rounds, seeing the ball striking going down is a little bit worrisome to me. Victor Perez is getting talked up, and first look ownership is showing
Yeah.
17%. Now, granted, the guy excels on the DP World Tour, but there is a big gap when it comes to the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour, at least in my opinion. I went on to the OWGR.com, and his highest OWGR rank was 29th. I think he's currently sitting like 63rd in the world or something like that. But when you go over his PGA events, there's nothing to write home about. And if he's coming in at 17%, no thank you. I'll fade Victor Perez in the 17%, and I'll go to, someone that we see playing a significant amount of PGA Tour events. I played this guy last week, not a ton, and his price has actually increased since last week, but I'll take the 9%, which is almost half of the projected ownership, and play someone like Johnny Vegas
I
over
agree.
Victor Perez, and even less than that, you know. And he's playing some pretty good golf, and he played here last year, and he had a T27 finish with Vegas last year. I'll play Nate Lashley at like less than 7% projected ownership over Victor Perez, coming in at 17% right now. When we talk boomer bust, I'll play Akshay at 8% over Victor Perez. At least we see Akshay out on the tour, and we're talking Florida. So, I mean, looking at some of Akshay's events, he seems like he does somewhat well on these, coastal courses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Vegas usually does well on coastal courses. Obviously, he missed last week. Joel Damon's ownership is getting a little high, and his recent form is not good, but he's played well here, so I don't know where I'm really at with Damon. Uh, Gordon, someone that's starting to slip a little bit, but at least his ball striking is still there. I'm really looking at going in the $7,200 range this week, and the guy that's kind of catching my eye in the $7,200 range is Ben Taylor. Granted, not the best when we come to ball striking. He does rely a lot on the putter, but he's someone I'm considering this week. Bramlett is someone that you're looking at when we talk ball striking. And, we don't have that many measured rounds on the guy, but it seems as though he's someone that likes these coastal tracks. And that might be like Ryan Gerard, but he's coming in pretty high. So, you know, a guy that does well on par fives, at least he's positive on approach. Lingmerth is someone you're going to take a chance on maybe this week, more so in GPPs, not so much in cash, but
Yeah.
I'll probably have some shares of Lingmerth. The guy that's got me scratching my head right now, because his recent form is absolutely terrible, but maybe this is another get right spot for him, just like maybe it could be for Burns, is Matthew Neesmith. So I don't know. It seems like this week you can make a case for a lot of guys. It's it's a coin flip this week. It's a weaker field event. There definitely are some guys that we can just scratch off, but there's a lot of guys that were like, okay, flip a coin. And that's where I'm at with some of these guys.
Yeah, I'm with you there, brother. What I wanted to look at real quick here, let's see, in the 7K range, you had mentioned, Victor Perez. That's right. I can't remember. I thought he had like a run in a. I know he's made cuts. He plays majors and stuff like that. But I feel like he made like a decent run in the match play last year. So if he's in match play next week, I might look at him for match play. I think he's a guy that's good at that kind of stuff. But yeah, this will change. This is just like you said, first look ownership. I feel like that's going to have to be down around 12% or something like that by tomorrow afternoon. Tomorrow, Wednesday afternoon, late in the day, is usually when I start really dialing in on these ownerships. Just for that but measure. But like you said, the first thing you mentioned, I said Johnny Vegas. And yeah, he missed the cut last week, but guess what? People miss cuts all the time at players. You know, you get off to a bad start or you have a bad round one and you just don't get it back, or you're in the wrong wave, or anything can happen. And he's got decent history here. And I'd have to deep dive a little bit into what happened to him, like you did. I played him, and I want to say he didn't putt very well because he's not a great putter anyway. But he is positive, I believe, at this course over his history. So I'm going to have my eye on Vegas. Garrick Higo, if you want a boomer bust guy, like you said, that guy can ball out on a golf course when you get him going. This might not be the course for that, but like dialing in the irons and knocking it to 2 feet on par threes and stuff like that, he's your guy. He does very well. Or he could shoot 7 over on the back nine, and then you're screwed. But grinders, more like grinders like Nick Taylor, I feel like I might look into a little bit. But his recent form hasn't been all that. Going back to Genesis, he was pretty good, but since we made the move over to Florida, he's kind of dipped. Smalley, he made the cut on the number, but he didn't make really didn't do me much good. But this seems like the kind of course Smalley, even though he missed the cut, I like that he's played here. This seems like the kind of course. He seems like one of them kind of grinded out guys, but he's not a good putter. That's probably what's going to keep me away from him. Moving down a little bit more, Eric Cole. He bounced back nicely at the Players, and he's a guy that's got that ball, approach game. He's not great off the tee, but you don't have to be great here. That's what I wanted to show you guys. This real quick over here on this trends and key factors off the golf betting system. And here's your last several winners and what they did winning. Strokes gained off the tee, 56th, 16th, 6th for Paul Casey in that 2019, 50th, 42nd, 52nd. So off the tee game is not what wins this golf tournament. 3rd, 2nd, 7th, 7th, 3rd, around the green, putting 8th, 3rd. So that's just kind of gives you an idea that you don't necessarily have to be strokes gained God off the tee to do well here. But the only difference is the rough is growing up a little bit more. So if you miss the fairway, you might be a little bit more penalized. But yeah, this mid to low 7K range is kind of interesting. I noticed a few guys. Kramer Hickok is a guy that I will definitely look into playing this week. He's generally a guy that they overprice a little bit, so he's probably should be 6,800 and not 7,200. But 3 straight cuts made here. So that's a good combination. Long enough off the tee, accurate, hits enough greens in regulation. Just needs a little help with the putter, most likely. Like you said with Neesmith, I'm not really sure where I'm at with him either. But I can always let him show me something. Nobody seems to be wanting to play Mark Hubbard very much, and he's showing signs of life. So I'm going to probably take a look at Mark Hubbard. Nick Hardy's kind of fell off the map, but this seems like the type of course he would be all right at. He's a good approach player. He's long off the tee, but that recent form is not looking good for him. Patrick Rogers is kind of in the same boat. Recent form sucks. His history sucks here. Uh, SH Kim, I will definitely give a look to. He's kind of a grinder. Relies on the putter a lot, but that's what you need here is somebody that can make putts. But I don't know if I want to dip into this range too much. Getting down here, there's just a bunch of names. Grayson Siggs, another grinder. I think I'll look into him. And I actually haven't gotten far enough into my research. Dylan Woo's going to be probably your most popular 6K guy. You can see him at 6.4%, which is kind of high for guys down here. But he's just playing so good. I mean, he hits a ton of greens, and the putters about average. So as long as he's keeping up with the field, he'll be there. And then you get into some real weirdos down here, and I had a few guys marked that popped in a couple of areas. Uh, it was, I think, Smotherman. I've heard his name. Austin Eckroat, long irons. Excuse me. And but I don't know if you these are like GPP guys down here. So I would look for guys that are recent form approach is good. Uh, James Hines seems like a guy that might make a cut once every 100 years. He's pretty good on approach and pretty good off the tee, but I don't know if I trust any of these guys. To be honest with you, Eckroat, none of these guys are making cuts, and I would look for a little recent form and a little bit better in the 6K range. But I'm going to let you bring us on home here, Dave. Who do you like down low?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you mentioned, Dylan Wu is going to be the chalk sub 7K play. Like Rick mentioned, he's egregiously mispriced based on his recent form lately. Um, you know, like I mentioned, these greens are on this average to smaller side. So when I look at Pebble, he had a good 29th place finish at Pebble, and then continues to let it ride. 10th at Honda. Puerto Rico was a little bit of a letdown for him. He should have done better at Puerto Rico, but had a good finish at Pebble. I mean, at the Players last week.
Mm-hmm.
A guy that I'm looking at, especially if we're talking forecast and the wind could be kicking up. Um, his recent form, not good, but his approach play is still one of the strongest in the field. And approach is something that I'm really looking at this weekend. And the guy's made 4 straight cuts at this event. Maybe this is a get right spot for Russell Knox, who's traditionally a good player in wind. So Russell Knox might be someone that I might take a chance on. I know this is Kenny Kim's last cash game cornerstone this week. Luke Donald, Luke Donald actually has some decent history here. He's recent form, goes miscut, made cut, miscut, made cut. So, you know, it's someone to take a chance on. And if you're going to take a chance on Luke Donald, then you might as well take a chance on Zach Johnson as well. Those two guys are kind of almost
Yeah,
the
hand in
same.
hand.
Yeah, they're almost the same player. And if I'm not mistaken, both of them are the captains of each, President's Cup team. So it's USA versus Team Europe, captain spot if you want to take those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, someone else that you already mentioned, Smotherman. He seems like he might have found something last week after absolutely atrocious recent form, and
Yeah.
he did play. He did play here last year and had a good finish. So Smotherman is someone I can jump on board with. As we go down the list, Bryce Garnett might be someone I might take a chance on. Another coastal track. He not the best finishes in the world, but he has made 2 cuts in a row. One being Florida with the Honda, and then Puerto Rico. And at 6,300, all you're looking for is a made cut out of the guy.
Right.
I've heard Kevin Roy's name being tossed around this week, and then someone else that I'm looking at, it would be all the way at 6,100. He hasn't played here, but I believe he's made 5 straight cuts, and that's Trevor Werbelow. That's someone that
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look at. So if you're really wanting to try and stack up top, Trevor Werbelow might be someone that you're going to take a look at $6,100.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think I might have marked him down actually when I was looking down the list of guys. I was looking for somebody, that just showed some form. And Werbelow was one of them because I think I stumbled on him last year, right around Canadian Open, I think was when they started getting exemptions into PGA events. And he's just one of them big time up and comers that's just trying to find his way. So this might be a good spot to give him a roll. So that'll do it for us, though, on the show. Appreciate you guys joining us, and I appreciate Dave for being here with me. And hopefully, this cold is just about gone, and I'll be good as new in another day or so. So until the next video, thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.